Alright, so the YouTuber Reckless Ben, who exposed the Lego scandal involving the company named Bricks and Minifigs, has said that he can no longer talk about Bricks and Minifigs. However, the YouTuber Coffeezilla still can, and he did, as he uploaded a video regarding this whole situation. So first, let's take a look at a clip of Reckless Ben explaining how he can't talk about Bricks and Minifigs anymore. So let's check this out.
Episode 3 is finally finished after crazy all-nighters and basically destroying my health. But I can't post it or I will go to jail. And not only that, I will also immediately lose my lawsuit of $300,000, and the GoFundMe we made for Brian will go straight to this mystery company that I am no longer allowed to talk about. They sent court papers to my email, which I guess a judge approved for them that this was a valid form of service. And so now that I'm officially served, I cannot even mention this company or I will be in jail and everything.
Alright, so as you just saw right there, Reckless Ben actually had the 3rd episode of the Bricks and Minifigs series that he was doing ready. However, he can't upload that because he legally cannot talk about Bricks and Minifigs now. So clearly this is a tactic being used to silence Reckless Ben for exposing what Bricks and Minifigs did. And so now let's take a look at a clip from Coffeezilla's video talking about this situation. So let's check this out.
A $200,000 Lego collection went missing, causing a lot of you to ask me to find it. And after seeing the cops point guns at YouTubers, people get arrested and sued for $1.3 million, I decided enough was enough. This looks like a case for the internet detective. A massive Star Wars collection was put on consignment at a Lego store called Bricks and Minifigs in Salem, Oregon. Consignment just means the owner, Brian Mansell, gave it to a store to sell, and he was supposed to get a cut when it sold. The entire time, he maintained ownership of the collection, and a social media post estimated it to be worth about $200,000. But then, on November 14th, 2024, everything went wrong. This was the night that Crystal and Ben Gorman, the prior franchise owners of the Salem store, got kicked out by this guy. That is Brandon Best. He and his partner Josh Johnson ran a sister store in Eugene, Oregon, and Brandon drove up that night to kick the Gormans out. Brandon and Josh would be taking over the franchise in Salem, and this is the exact moment the Legos go missing. As that store is getting handed over, the question is Brian's collection in it? Here's what the official Bricks and Minifigs press release reads. Quote, after taking over the store, we discovered a small number of sets valued between $2,000 to $5,000 that could be possibly related to Mr. Mansell's collection. But there's a problem here. There should be over 10 times that amount in this store, given their internal records and what we know the estimated value of this collection was.
Alright, so as you just saw right there, that was basically the background of this whole situation, which was basically a estimated value of $200,000 worth of a Lego Star Wars collection that was not handled in the way that it was supposed to be, based off the original agreement between the person who actually owned that Lego Star Wars collection and the company Bricks and Minifigs, which was supposed to sell them by putting them on display. So now let's take a look at another clip from Coffeezilla's video regarding insane accusations against Reckless Ben that he may have stolen the Legos. So let's check this out.
Ben is currently facing a RICO lawsuit by Bricks and Minifigs. He was even targeted with a search warrant for stolen Legos.
Included in the warrant are Legos.
The owner reported overhearing conversations about possible stolen Legos.
And on top of that, Reckless Ben was even accused of stealing the Legos by the current franchise owner.
I stole the Legos?
What do you think of the theory that it was Reckless Ben? He stole the Legos.
It's absurd. We didn't even know Reckless Ben. He
Yeah.
had no interaction, no relation to us, no relation to the store. That doesn't hold any water.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Apologies to the genius cops in Utah who play different.
We play differently here.
But I don't believe that Reckless Ben stole the Lego, mostly because he couldn't. He just wasn't there that night.
Alright, so as you just saw, Reckless Ben wasn't even there that night, So how could he have stolen the Legos, right? So this is just like an absolutely insane accusation, and there's no evidence to support it whatsoever. And in fact, if anyone stole anything, what actually happened was that the company Bricks and Minifigs were the ones who stole Legos and didn't actually give them back to the person who actually owned them, right? Like, if there was any theft going on here, it was actually Bricks and Minifigs doing it. So they're literally accusing Reckless Ben of doing the thing that they did to basically just destroy his reputation and to cause as many problems for him as possible. Like, for example, the police search warrant and stuff like that. Now, real quick, I'd just like to say that I'm giving out shoutouts on this channel to people who subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment letting me know that they subscribed. If you do that, then in the next video, I'll give you a shoutout. Now, as for previous videos, I want to give out shoutouts to these people: Is Ux and Void Light YT. Thank you so much for subscribing, I really appreciate it. Now anyway, back to the video. So Coffeezilla actually got pictures of that Lego Star Wars collection from the previous store owners of that Bricks and Minifigs store, which was related to this whole situation. And then he used those to compare the pictures that he had and the sets that were included in those pictures to what the Bricks and Minifigs COO was claiming the actual collection they had was. So let's take a look at a clip of that.
I started to bring up some of Crystal's photos to see if they matched up.
Okay, sure, yeah. So I think the important thing is making sure that all of these are in the inventory 4-man cell.
Sure, that's cool.
75041.
Yep, the Vulture Droid.
75169.
169 I'm not seeing, so there may be... Okay, so there's one that is not on our list.
Let's try this. 10240.
Okay, nope, not seeing that one either.
What about 9493?
3, I don't see that one either. So maybe those were locked at the time and Brandon did not get those pictures.
All right, that's kind of a problem because the Gormans had over 200 photos of this store. I definitely knew looking at these photos, there's a lot more Legos in the Gormans photos, by quite a lot that Brandon's photos just didn't show. But corporate didn't really see it that way.
But still, in the grand scheme of things, we're not talking, again, 10 times the amount of sets here.
I don't know. I haven't shown all the photos yet. I don't know exactly how much.
If there's a calculable figure that we can look at and say, great, this is what was there, I promise you it's not $100,000 worth of Lego. And so where's the rest of it? He got me. I don't know.
Alright, so Bricks and Minifigs was claiming that not all of the sets from the pictures that Coffeezilla had from the previous store owners of that store were actually with Bricks and Minifigs. So, you know, this is the thing, like, dude, you're out here saying that you don't have a record of certain sets, but the previous store owners who had the collection, well, they gave a whole bunch of pictures of that collection to Coffeezilla and he went through those. And so now you're saying that, oh, well, you know, we don't have all the sets from those pictures. So, you know, the thing is that, hey man, it is your job to be good at record keeping and to make sure that if someone has given you their Lego collection to sell, then you're supposed to do a good job of actually making sure that you know where each and every set is and what happened and which ones got sold and which ones didn't and everything like that. So overall, I just don't like the kind of attitude that Bricks and Minifigs had towards this Lego Star Wars collection. I think that they needed to be way more responsible with it. And so now let's take a look at a clip from Coffeezilla's video regarding a U-Haul truck. So let's check this out.
This is another one of those things that was like really disputed between the two parties, was this U-Haul that supposedly was driven up to the store the night of the takeover.
So when Brandon came to the store that night, he was driving a U-Haul truck.
Now, in typical fashion, this was immediately disputed.
Brandon showed up to the Salem store in a rental car. When he came to get the keys from Crystal, he was there in a rental car, not in a U-Haul.
It wasn't until after he told me he was taking the keys and locking me out that I really kind of paid attention to the fact that he had a large, not the small, the large U-Haul truck.
So yeah, I just kept hearing about this U-Haul truck. Now, why is it significant, U-Haul or not? Well, one, a U-Haul truck can fit a lot of Legos, but the big reason it mattered to me was because I was actually called by an ex-employee of the Bricks and Minifigs store in Eugene, Oregon. Remember, that's the one that Brandon and Josh owned. And he told me something very interesting.
Star Wars City. There's a lot of stuff. It was like in a medium-sized U-Haul truck.
Wait, they brought a U-Haul truck.
Yeah, from Salem, to Eugene.
And to Eugene, and it had a bunch of Star Wars sets on it?
Yeah, Star Wars sets, like everything. A bunch of new stuff too.
Wait, when and was this when they took over the store from Crystal?
I believe so, yes. Yes, because he said that Crystal stole Legos and left the country.
While he has a U-Haul of Legos?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We really gotta find out, was there a U-Haul that night or not? Because
Brandon showed up to the Salem store in a rental car. When he came to get the keys from Crystal, he was there in a rental car, not in a U-Haul.
So when there was the handoff, there wasn't a U-Haul, it was a rental car.
Correct. He was there in a rental car. And I think any of the, like if you were to look at the footage, the ring cameras, all that stuff, you won't see a U-Haul sitting anywhere in the parking lot.
I have this alternate angle, I'm looking at that, and then, wait a minute. Zoom in on that photo. Bring up the brightness of this photo a little bit, and my gosh, there's a U-Haul in the parking lot right outside of the store the night of November 14th, 2024.
Alright, so bro, this is pretty insane. Turns out that there was a U-Haul truck there. So yeah, the thing is that obviously a U-Haul truck can fit a whole bunch of stuff in it, like, you guessed it, a Lego Star Wars collection. So yeah, if you're just taking it from one location to another, then yeah, a U-Haul truck would be pretty useful. And the thing is that what makes all of this super suspicious is that the Bricks and Minifigs COO, the person in that clip that Coffeezilla was talking to, that person said that, oh no, there was no U-Haul truck, some person arrived in a rental car. So, it wasn't a U-Haul truck, it was a rental car actually. And then he went as far as to say that, oh, you can even take a look at the security camera footage. And I bet he said that because he was like, oh, no one's actually gonna do it, no one's actually gonna check, right? So it's just gonna make my claim sound like super valid, that I'm so confident in what I said that I'm also saying, oh yeah, hey, by the way, you can check out the security camera footage. Well, guess what? I think he didn't know much about Coffeezilla and the kind of investigations that Coffeezilla does, because Coffeezilla did end up finding a U-Haul truck. So yeah, dude, if all the crazy stuff regarding Bricks and Minifigs wasn't crazy enough and wasn't bad enough, now it's even wilder. They're even denying that there was a U-Haul truck there at a specific time, and they said, oh no, actually there was a person who showed up on a rental car. And now turns out there's actually evidence of a U-Haul truck. So if they weren't actually doing anything suspicious, then why on earth were they denying that there was a U-Haul truck there, which obviously would be pretty useful to move a large amount of Legos from one location to another. And when Coffeezilla spoke to them about that, they all of a sudden then had an explanation for the U-Haul truck. So let's take a look at what they said.
This is something that Matt said he had seen footage of, and it couldn't be true.
Know of a disgruntled former employee that worked at another location, that back on the 24th of October, there was a U-Haul that went to a storage unit in Salem for another previous franchisee, like for a different situation that we had just gone through some things, and he had a previously, like, hey, I have some inventory that I didn't turn over that I was supposed to. It's at this storage location. You guys can come pick it up. And so Brandon was sent on that day to pick up with a U-Haul inventory that then he moved down, but that was October 24th.
So when we're talking about this ex-employee, you're saying they are conflating the October 24th event of the U-Haul coming up to Eugene with Legos with some time after November 14th, after the store takeover. Is that correct? Am I understanding that?
Yes.
So this is now kind of a strange story. Corporate is saying there was a U-Haul at the Eugene store dropping off Lego, but that was from a different night, different collection.
So then what happens is he takes his rental vehicle truck and he tries to connect the trailer, the camping trailer, to that truck, and it's not rated for that particular weight, and he realized, oh crap. He called around and found that U-Haul had a rating for one of their box trucks, and so he grabbed that, went and got it at 10 a.m. on the 14th, and so he then went and hooked that trailer up to the camping trailer to a U-Haul, drove that trailer down to another location where he could set up the camping trailer in Salem, dropped off the camper trailer, and then he arrived in a U-Haul to the Salem store.
Alright, so as you just saw right there, that was just like a really long, super convoluted explanation. Like, bro, what are you on about? Like, come on, man. At some point, people start to realize, like, you're just making stuff up at this point. Obviously, this is just complete nonsense. It's like, first you said that there was no U-Haul truck, but then now Coffeezilla is like, okay, well, there's evidence of that being there, of the U-Haul truck being there, and then now they're like, oh yeah, no, actually there's this like whole explanation for that actually, and then it's related to like a camping trailer now. Like, bro, you gotta be kidding me, man. And so now let's take a look at a clip from Coffeezilla's video where he talks about whether that Lego Star Wars collection was actually worth $200,000 or not. So let's check this out.
You saw the social post saying this collection was worth $200,000. That's what everyone knows this story as, the $200,000 Lego collection. But sadly, that post was entirely wrong. In Crystal Gorman's inventory, which has a high and low estimate value of these various Lego items, the real estimated value is about $107,000. They give high estimates and low estimates, but that's right there in the middle. And for simplicity, I'll just be using averages and estimates here, but understand that, these numbers are not firm, given that they're unsold Legos. It's just rough possibilities. But the point is, it's worth nowhere near $200,000. And Reckless Bin, the one who made the original video covering this, said that surprised him.
Yeah, this entire time, literally every single person's been telling me there were $200,000. Like, that's how much, you could sell all these sets for.
My original assessment of about $200,000 was going up to his father's house and looking in 3 different rooms with all the sets. It was before I'd actually gone through and had set numbers and done an actual evaluation.
Alright, so as you just saw, the actual value of the Lego Star Wars collection was actually $107,000. So dude, this is around half of what the original estimate was, which was $200,000. Now, the thing is that the original number was just an estimate. But overall, I am glad that Coffeezilla looked into this and, he came to this conclusion, because the more information we have, the better it is. And the more accurate the information is, the better that is. But the thing is that this doesn't really change the actual dynamic. The actual main issue in this whole situation regarding these Legos, that's still there. The issue hasn't actually changed. The thing is that regardless of whether the actual value is $200,000 or $107,000 roughly, right? Regardless of that, at the end of the day, the actual issue was that there was a person who was wronged, right? Like, this is not okay. A person's property was mishandled, and the way that they wanted it to be handled was not how it was actually handled. And this was basically in certain cases just straight up theft of taking something and just not giving it back, and in other cases it was not paying the rightful amount that you were actually supposed to pay that person, and paying less than what you were supposed to pay once certain Lego sets were actually sold. So, as far as I'm concerned, this doesn't change the dynamics for me. It is definitely good to know that the actual value is a lot less, so in terms of clarity, it's a lot nicer to know this, but at the end of the day, the actual issue is still there. And so now let's take a look at another clip from Coffeezilla's video going into the details of the numbers regarding the Lego Star Wars collection. So let's check this out.
We looked through over 200 plus photos, multiple videos, and matched what we saw with Brian's collection. In the end, I ended up with about $21,000 of Legos matching Brian's collection that can be proven to be in the store on the night of November 14th. Now, to state the obvious, that's about 3 to 5 times what corporate estimated, at least on their press release. Now, yes, there are inherent errors in these estimates. Maybe we picked up some Lego that matched Brian's collection, but wasn't Brian's. But even though this is a bigger number than corporate said, I have to admit, even with pretty generous assumptions being made, there's still a huge gap of about $61,000 here that I just couldn't find.
All right, so as you just saw right there, bro, there was a gap of around $61,000 worth of Legos that just have not been accounted for, because that's the gap between the value of the unsold Legos and the Legos in store. So yeah, now this is a big mystery in terms of where are those missing Legos, right? Where is that stuff, right? You gotta figure out where they went, what happened, what was done, all that kind of stuff, and also either recovering the sets themselves or trying to perhaps, get Bricks and Minifigs to financially compensate by giving the equivalent amount of money to the actual owner of these sets. And so now let's take a look at a clip from Coffeezilla's video talking about something called Layaways in relation to that Lego Star Wars collection. So let's check this out.
Turns out a lot of these sales come from what Crystal's spreadsheet actually categorizes as layaways, meaning they were marked as having been sold, but layaways are when someone puts a down payment on an item and later pays it off. But the problem was there were a lot of these, worth about $20,000 in layaway, and that felt a little strange to me. And because of that, I asked Josh Johnson, the incoming owner, and he responded, quote, "They're worth 2 to 3 items on layaway when they took over."
With Brian's collection, it was a little bit different because so much of this collection were new in box, all in one place, reasonably priced, and a lot of the harder to find items. And so customers would come in and put, I'm gonna guess probably half of those layaway items were not gonna be sold to the person who took them on layaway. Because we had several that would put them on layaway and then change their mind. So this was something like, somebody would come in and want 10 different sets, but only be able to buy one. Can I put the rest of those on layaway so you don't sell them? I'll pay $10 to put these sets on layaway. Traditionally with layaway, we would ask for 10% down. They'd have 30 days to make their next payment, or we'd refund the layaway amount and then put it back on the shelf. Because this collection was the collection it was, and I wanted to give these people the opportunity to, to get these sets, we were a lot more generous with how long and the amount of payments that people could make towards the layaway.
So as you just saw right there, layaways were an important thing when it came to the calculations and stuff. And the thing is that for that Lego collection, the reason that the layaway terms were so generous was because this really was a genuinely rare Lego collection. And so giving people the option to sort of reserve their right to buy a specific set was pretty important. So that's why these terms were so generous, and that's why there were just so many sets on layaway. And I actually understand that because, I know a thing or two about Lego sets, and the thing is that there are certain sets that are super sought after because they're basically like these legendary collector's items. And so Lego collectors who are super into this stuff, who know all about which sets are super rare, those people obviously would want the ability to reserve that right to buy these sets, even if they didn't have all the money to pay for them on spot at that point in time. So I am glad that Coffeezilla did this research and explained this stuff, because once again, this gives us more clarity regarding this whole situation. And so now let's take a look at another clip from Coffeezilla's video where he talks about some more calculations regarding that Lego Star Wars collection. So let's check this out.
But all in all, there's a lot less missing than many people think, especially if your starting number is $200,000. I estimated, and I must emphasize, estimated with bad records, that there's only about $10,000 to $20,000 in Lego that isn't explained by one of these sources. This isn't to say Brian's been fully compensated. Much of this Brian wasn't paid for that I know of. So I estimate he's still out about $50,000 to $83,000 for Lego he wasn't compensated for. And I think honestly that's something that Bricks and Minifigs obviously should handle and make right. Regardless of what a franchisee does, the new one, the old one, the company behind it must stand behind their product, their service.
Alright, so as you just saw right there, the actual owner of that Lego Star Wars collection has not been paid $50,000 to $83,000. And of course, these are just estimates. That's something that Coffeezilla has made pretty clear. It's a pretty complicated situation, but yeah, $50,000 to $83,000 estimated that have not been paid is absolutely insane. And Bricks and Minifigs as a company need to make this situation right, and they need to pay that to the original owner, because this is just not fair whatsoever. This person owned this Lego collection. This was his property. And you're mishandling it in this way, and now you're not even giving him the money that he actually deserves. Like, this is just completely unfair, and it's completely unacceptable. And so I am glad that Coffeezilla has explained all of this. And so now let's take a look at a clip of Coffeezilla's video where he actually confronted the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs regarding a spreadsheet that was apparently created by them that they claimed they didn't have. So let's check that out.
Verification? Documentation? Is that unreasonable, do you think?
Well, I think they would say they provided the documentation, and you guys say you need more documentation. So I mean, that's kind of the
spreadsheet and a contract are a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we never got that. That was never sent to us at corporate, by the way.
Y'all do have the spreadsheet though, yeah? Y'all have the spreadsheet.
That was shared online, but months after we asked for it.
It says I'm so confused. It says I'm on the file right now. It says storage used, owned by BAM Franchising Inc. Owner Salem.or bricksandminifigs.com.
What are you looking at?
It says owner Salem.or at bricksandminifigs.com. That's you guys. It says owned by BAM Franchising Inc. It says created September 6, 2024. And when I look at it, this is the Mansell list, I believe.
So this would have been created under so we have the
y'all definitely have this. Y'all have access to this.
Well, I had no idea.
Alright, so right there, Coffeezilla just straight up confronted the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, saying that, hey, look, this spreadsheet was actually created in 2024. And then he also showed who created it. And it said that the owner was actually Bricks and Minifigs. So, bro, they had access to this thing the whole time. So you can use that argument of like, oh, well, we didn't have the records and this and that. Bro, you had the records since 2024, okay? Stop pretending like you didn't, okay? So yeah, dude, overall, this whole thing was absolutely insane. Bricks and Minifigs, you guys need to do the right thing, okay? No more running away from it. You guys need to actually do the right thing and do right by the owner of that Lego Star Wars collection. And so yeah, guys, those were my thoughts on the situation. And now I'm interested in hearing what you have to say down in the comments below. So leave a comment letting me know what you think, and we can have a discussion down there. And with all that being said, guys, this is Alexi signing out.